I really didn't want to come on here and do this, Justin. It's Tuesday afternoon. The wound still has yet to heal. It's tough.
Dude, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, Jake. But we're gonna get through this. We got to do our recap. That's what you do. You can't just do post-game videos when you win. You got to bring it back and do them when you suffer these heartbreaking losses. So Titans in the wild card round on Sunday afternoon go down to the Ravens by a score of 20-13. Jake, in a game where I think now that the season's over and how that game kind of played out, I feel like it's almost bringing out more questions than answers heading into the offseason. Because say if the Titans go down in this game by a score of 38-34, that would be easier to accept, I think. Because what have we been talking about all season, Jake? In that at least the last half of the season, it's been the defense, lack of pass rush, terrible, historically bad third down conversion percentage allowed against them. If we can just get an average defense to complement one of the best offense in Titans history, we have a legitimate shot at a Super Bowl. And we even said, even after the Green Bay game and after a couple other losses, we were like, it's hard to see this Titans team winning a playoff game. Yes, we may win the AFC South. Yes, we'll probably make the playoffs, but it's hard to see us going on a run because of this defense holding this team back so much. But look what happened on Sunday, man. And now it's like, what? How did we let this game slip away? When the defense delivers probably their best performance of the season. I mean, we got maybe 3 or 4 of these the entire year where the defense kind of showed up and, did their part as well. But, dude, this defense was giving us everything. It gave us sacks. It got us a turnover. We were forcing them to punt the ball. They put up 20 points, Jake, and our offense, that's nothing. We put up 20 points in our sleep, this offense does. And oh my goodness, just a wasted, historically great offense, a one and done in the playoffs, man. It hurts in the fashion in that it took place. Just total domination by Baltimore's defense on this offense. How are you doing, man? Have you recovered? Have you patched up the wounds yet?
I think I'm in maybe the bargaining stage. Maybe the season's not over. Maybe that I was just dreaming, and that was week 17.
Crossed for dreams.
Yeah. I'm just having this long 3-day dream where the Titans lost at home to Baltimore after winning the AFC South for the first time in 12 years. Yeah, it's tough, man. And it's a really hard one to swallow. I mean, like you said, the defense shows up against Lamar Jackson. They had 4 sacks in the first half, Justin. If you told me that on Friday, I would have said this Titans team's going to run away with this game if they sack Lamar Jackson 4 times and, intercept him all, within the first 2 quarters of the game. This Titans offense is going to have a huge lead. No, they ended up, only mustering up 13 points on the entire game. And it's an especially tough loss to swallow. And it brings up these questions and not answers, as you alluded to, that, your 3 core pieces of, the future of this Titans team didn't show up on Sunday. Ryan Tannehill did not show up on Sunday. Derrick Henry did not show up on Sunday. And Mike Vrabel, who we will get to down the line, didn't quite show up on Sunday the way we needed Mike Vrabel to show up on Sunday. The rivalry only widens. Obviously, Baltimore gets their revenge. Tannehill picked off on the last drive, dancing on the logo. Revenge is a dish best served cold, I suppose. And the game on Sunday.
Man, you said it. This rivalry is back, and it is hot right now. Now in the playoffs, after 5 matchups, 2 for the Titans, now 3 for the Ravens, and again, the road team is always winning in these playoff matchups between these 2. And dude, it's almost nice to see the younger generation, maybe perhaps such as yourself, the ones that didn't see the early 2000s matchups. Because dude, as a 9-10-year-old kid, I hated the Ravens with every fiber of my being. Yes, they were divisional rivals in the old AFC Central, but now even with the new division realignments, they're my number one. They're my number one hated team, man. This is a bitter rivalry. I don't think these teams like each other. There's off-field shenanigans. We're dancing on their logo. They return the favor, dance on ours. Whoever's coming out on top. there might be some bad blood between these two teams. Which is how it was, I think, in the early 2000s. So it's nice to see the new generation kind of jump on board. Like, yes, the Ravens are the Titans' most despised foe in the NFL world. I know the Colts, they are just terrible, and we all hate the Colts as well. But that's a one-sided rivalry. Like, they dominate us through history. But the Titans and Ravens have a history of just coming to blows, knocking each other out of the playoffs, delivering big upsets. So it's back, man. I do not like this team. We'll see. I don't know how the schedule comes out if we're going to see them next year, but if we do play them next year, there's going to be a lot of heated battles going on there. But man, yeah, I don't know what you want to talk about first. I mean, you said these offensive pieces that didn't show up, unbelievable. Yeah. Derrick Henry only getting 40 yards on 18 carries, and dude, I want to go ahead and place some blame here on Arthur Smith, the play caller, the OC coming into this game. And I know his name has been thrown around in the post-game reaction on social media a lot, but dude, and I kind of see it. I when I was watching this game, we did not look creative. We didn't see anything new. We talked about it in the preview. Like, we would love to see some change-ups, some variation, some stuff we haven't put on film yet for the playoffs, because that's what you want to do. You want to catch a team that's not expecting something when the games matter most in the postseason. And there was nothing. It was the most vanilla, conservative offensive play calling I've ever seen. Dude, it was like still in the first half, and we were giving the ball to Derrick Henry 1st and 10. He would get 1 yard, 2 yards. That's it. We were setting ourselves up for 2nd and 8, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10. And we were still doing this in the 3rd and 4th quarter. And it's like, dude, every time it was 1st and 10, I was like, play action, play action, play action. No, we were just going to give the ball to Derrick Henry. They saw it coming. They knew what we were going to do. But we could have utilized play action so much more. And it was just so frustrating to see the most conservative play calling that I'd seen from Arthur Smith all season. It was very surprising because the Ravens – sorry, I'm kind of just keeping on raining here.
No, you're good. You're good, man. You're good.
I remember a lot of the storyline in the offseason in regards to the Ravens was bulking up that front seven. They added Calais Campbell. They ended up trading for Ngakoue. And a lot of people were saying they're really just trying to see, making sure that this Titans team doesn't undo their postseason run ever again, or at least, next year and the years after that. They were pretty much addressing their needs in order to stop Derrick Henry. Well, guess what? They did that. They delivered that. And, yeah, this was not a Derrick Henry showing that we got in early 2020 in that playoff game, or even in November when we played him in the regular season. So, I mean, when you see Derrick Henry, and it wasn't that he was playing bad necessarily, but the offensive line wasn't getting any push. I mean, they have great players on the front seven, so it's hard to fault them. But you've got to be prepared to get away from that. Put the ball in Ryan Tannehill's hands and try to beat him through the air. The one player who did show up for us was A.J. Brown. We could have just been keying in on him over and over again. I thought he was having a great game against Marlon Humphrey. He was our one bright spot on offense. So it was so frustrating to see that we were stubborn and just did not move away from what was not working. And just we weren't even getting creative with giving the ball to Henry. We just kept running him up the middle. There was no outside runs. It didn't seem like it.
Yeah.
So just a frustrating pedestrian performance on offense. And I think Arthur Smith should shoulder some of the blame, honestly. I was not a fan of the game plan and execution throughout.
Yeah, and it's, you're running Derrick Henry up the middle every 1st and 10, and they're 9-10 guys in the box. It's not just, a loaded box with 8 guys or 9 guys. It seems like the entire Ravens team is standing right in front of the line of scrimmage ready for the Henry carry, because obviously, Derrick Henry's going to get his share of carries. Yeah, maybe a lower number at 18. Maybe give him the ball a little more, maybe on a toss sweep play. Yeah, I like what you said. Get him the ball in more creative ways. But yeah, Arthur Smith, I think, should shoulder some of the blame, and especially when we talked about in the preview, this is his kind of head coaching interview. Like, open the box, see what you got, show these teams that are interviewing what you have in the arsenal. Let's open it up. Let's use all the toys. Let's use Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. Corey Davis, who 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 on the box score. Nothing. He did nothing.
What I don't understand. He did it once again. His disappearing act has come out, and I don't know, near the end of the game, you see him on the sidelines, just
Mhm.
with his helmet on, and he's just watching on the sideline. What happened? Whenever the real dagger, whenever Ryan Tannehill threw that pick, I don't know what happened there. Some people were thinking that Marcus Peters shoved him down or whatever, but dude, Khalif Raymond
Not
just, I
even.
don't know.
He
No,
crumpled
that
at
was
the
not
sight
pass
of
interference.
contact, and it
Why
was
was he? Why was he even on the field though? I mean, I think I saw Luke Warsham, who's been on the show. A big fan of Luke, and he's been gracious to come on Titan Stoop several times.
Mhm.
He had an accurate tweet where it was like, our wide receiver depth has been exposed. And I mean, if you're
Mhm.
keeping Corey Davis on the sideline, dude, Nick Westbrook, that guy had more catches in this game than Corey Davis. Khalif Raymond was
Yeah.
in on a huge
Yeah.
passing play on a hopeful game-tying drive at the end of the fourth quarter. Why are we throwing to these guys, man? I mean, A.J. Brown was effective enough, but why isn't Corey Davis seeing more targets? Maybe he was getting shut down, but our wide receiver depth got exposed. I mean, that was just kind of an embarrassing way to go with Ryan Tannehill. He threw a laser right there, and Marcus Peters didn't have to do anything but stand there and do this.
And
It
catch
came
it.
right to him because Khalif Raymond went right to the ground, couldn't keep his feet up for whatever reason. I mean, I like Khalif Raymond. I think I like him as a returner, honestly. I mean, he's got great speed, and his MO at the receiver position is just run straight down the field and catch bombs,
Mhm.
which he did it a couple times early in the season, but he really disappeared in the receiving game for the most part this year. So, yeah, without Corey Davis out there, it's like, who are we throwing to outside of A.J. Brown? Not really anybody.
Mhm. Yeah, I
So,
definitely
yeah,
thought and Jonnu Smith, a disappearing act too. 2
yeah,
catches, 9 yards. Where has he been? Arthur Smith kind of did the coaching equivalent of, farting in the Titans facility, and now he's going to leave. Now he's going to walk out of the room, and now we're just left with this fart of a performance where, this team picked the worst game all year to put up their season lows in yardage and points. Not just one or the other, they did it in both. And yeah, you said it at the top of the show. This team puts up 20 points in its sleep. We're one of the top 3 scoring offenses in the league, come week 15, 16, 17. And we put up 13 when the defense shows up. It makes it all that much harder to swallow. Now, I do kind of want to turn this offensive performance back at Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he deserves the brunt of this blame, but how confident are we in Ryan Tannehill's ability to lead this team throughout the playoffs? Trust me, I am a big Tannehill believer, Justin. I'm not saying get rid of the guy. I'm not saying any of that. I think he's a great option at quarterback. I mean, this is the highest flying offense that Nashville has ever seen. Um, and it's, you look at his playoff stats. I mean, throughout last year in the playoffs, obviously Henry's doing his thing. Tannehill's only really throwing like 13 to 15 passes. So his numbers obviously not jumping off, but he did what he had to do. And then when the Chiefs took away Derrick Henry in the AFC title game, you look to Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, he kind of kept him in it for a little bit. And then, obviously Mahomes goes off. And then, the Ravens take away Derrick Henry in this game. You look to Ryan Tannehill and go away from that, run it into the stacked box 3 times in a row kind of game plan.
yeah.
And Ryan Tannehill really wasn't the Superman the Titans needed in this game. And it kind of exposed that narrative that if Derrick Henry's not going, neither is Ryan Tannehill. And I don't think that the Titans got hosed signing Tannehill to a long-term deal. I mean, you saw it this year.
No.
It's a historic offense. He was the quarterback, the leader of a historically efficient and productive offense for this Titans franchise. He had 40 total touchdowns. That is the most in franchise history for total touchdown count. Ryan Tannehill is not a bad quarterback, but how do you feel about him moving forward when Derrick Henry's not going? Can Ryan Tannehill go?
Yeah, I think that's a little silly to think just because of this game. Yes, it's the playoffs, and Peyton Manning had that playoff bug under him, and I know early in his Colts career when he was like 0 for 3 or 4 or 5 in the playoffs. I mean, he had a worse track record in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson, and that was Lamar Jackson's narrative coming into this game, is that he couldn't win a playoff game. Well, Peyton Manning, it took him way longer to win a playoff game. And that was an early headline about his career. Like, is this really the guy? Can he lead us, to the Super Bowl? Always coming up short in the playoffs. Yeah, there is an element to that, but no, we're not. We should not want to move on from Ryan Tannehill. even if we didn't have Derrick Henry on this team. And yes, Derrick Henry's success does attribute to a lot of Ryan Tannehill's success, for sure. But he's a legit starting franchise quarterback. I mean, we've seen Ryan Tannehill put this team on his shoulders, game-winning drives. He's clutch. He's extremely accurate. I don't think he gets enough credit for his accuracy. Yeah, one of his first completions to A.J. Brown, dude, the most perfect throw in a draped, covered A.J. Brown. I think it was Marlon Humphreys, and it was just in a perfect window, a perfect spot. I've seen him make those throws many times per game. He's very accurate. He's mobile. There's a lot of things. I still want to go back to the coaching thing, though. I think there's a lot of things that in these play calls that didn't set up our players for success. I remember several times when Tannehill would take a snap, drop back, maybe the pressure wasn't that great, and he would kind of force the ball towards like A.J. Brown or receiver, but they weren't open. They were double covered, and the ball sails out of bounds. It's like, what are we doing? It feels just like a wasted play. And take that with a lot of 1st and 10 Derrick Henry runs, and we just wasted a lot of plays, it felt like, throughout this game, and weren't taking many shots, weren't changing things up. We just kept being conservative and just trying to run out the clock and go home after playing the most vanilla football game of all time. I'm not concerned overall about Ryan Tannehill. Yes, you wanted to see him, be the hero, overcome the obstacles. It was almost like asking him to do what I think a lot of people saw what Mariota was doing with the Malarkey-led Titans, is shouldering the offense on his own and overcoming the terrible play calls, and for Mariota to just make magic happen, where there was a period of time where he was doing that. And Tannehill, he couldn't overcome that. I think pressure was a problem too, that we struggled in protecting Ryan Tannehill a lot. I would like to see the offensive line addressed, which is kind of crazy because they did just block for a 2,000-yard rusher. I don't know if having Taylor Lewan in there would have made a huge difference. It would have helped for sure. Yeah. I think it's time to upgrade from Dennis Kelly. As much as I like him, I've seen him get pushed back a lot in the run game for sure. And I love him as a backup, as a swing utility kind of offensive lineman, but I think we can afford to have some upgrades there and to help out Tannehill even more. But I like Tannehill. I'm glad he's the quarterback going forward. Who are we going to get that's better? No one is going to be available that's going to be an upgrade from Tannehill at this point. Yeah. So all that talk needs to just die. He's our quarterback for this year and next year probably, definitely. So you got to live with it. So, sorry he came up short in this game or didn't give us what we wanted, but that's how I kind of see it. Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, 18 of 26, not a terrible completion percentage, but, the 165, only one touchdown. What push off? I didn't see a push off on A.J. Brown's touchdown. I'm kind of doing that with a wink and a nod. I didn't see a push off on that touchdown. But he really wasn't the X factor. It seemed like they had, other than A.J. Brown on the one specific drive, there was no real X factor for this Titans offense. Nobody could get going. The next leading receiver was Anthony Firkser. 2 first downs, by the way, on his 2 catches. The incredibly efficient Anthony Firkser comes through again. But then, you get into guys, Nick Westbrook, Derrick Henry, is in the top 4 receivers, and he never catches the ball. When does he ever catch the ball? It's tough, man. Just an all-around bad performance of the offense, and it makes it so hard to swallow that this offense was so good, and this defense finally shows up when you need them to, containing Lamar Jackson. And you said it, man. This offense had so many wasted opportunities, so many to really either take the lead early. And we haven't even mentioned the fact that they were up 10-0, at the end of the first quarter. We haven't even talked about that. They had every single piece of momentum in the first half. Incredible start. Obviously, Lamar Jackson gets to scramble out on that, 40-plus yard touchdown run. I think it was on a 3rd down, coincidentally.
God, dude, he's so freaking agile and fast. It's mind-blowing. And bad on Kevin Byard, dude. Byard had a bad game. He took a horrible angle on Lamar Jackson's touchdown run. But, I mean, what are you going to do? But still, overall, aside from a few gashing runs from Lamar Jackson, I was really impressed, with the defense's performance. I mean, you can only keep down Lamar Jackson for so long as a defense. So,
and I want to attribute Desmond King was there all day. He was wearing his red sleeves, red gloves. You could see him on every play. keeping the contain on Lamar Jackson. He was the standout player on defense, at least in my mind, keeping him bottled up. Yeah, Lamar Jackson had over 100 yards rushing in this game, but a lot of the damage was done on that highlight touchdown run and then like maybe one or two others, but they really kept him bottled up, and that's what sucks. Going into coaching a little more, taking it off of the offensive play calling and going to the man in charge, Mike Vrabel, Justin. Obviously, his very controversial, very, surrender index, 100th percentile, worst punt call of the entire year.
Yeah.
It's 4th and 2. They're down 17-13 with 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're at the Ravens' 40-yard line. And what sucks the most about this punt and this whole kind of controversy surrounding it, Derrick Henry gained you 8 yards on first down. It was 2nd and 2, incomplete pass. 3rd and 2, incomplete pass. I don't care if it's 3rd and 2 in this situation, Justin. I didn't hate the punt call. I really didn't hate the punt call when it happened. I mean, obviously it was very much soured by a 25-yard Brett Kern punt. What happened there? If Brett Kern pins them on the 3, you're kind of like, okay, maybe it was a decent decision and we can kind of play the field position game because they 10 minutes left, you're only down 4. Your defense is playing okay. It's tough. But in that situation, 3rd and 2, if you don't run Derrick Henry twice, what are you doing? Why do you even sign Derrick Henry to the extension that he got? I don't know, Justin. What do you think, man? There's obviously people pitchforks and torches out for Vrabel, but
yeah. I mean, in
hindsight, blockhead
hindsight,
strikes again. I suppose
the blockhead has returned. Yeah, you could have even trotted Gostowski out there. He has a huge cannon for a leg, a 57-yarder. That's in his range, I think. I mean, he's hit some long field goals. I think his long for the season was like 55, 54 yards, something like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I was when it was happening, I was just kind of throwing my head back like, I can't believe we once again crossed into Ravens territory and we're even in this 4th and 2 possession. And I wasn't really sure what we were going to do. But whenever I saw the field goal unit come on, I rolled my eyes. I was like, I can't believe this is going to be it for this possession. But if we had gone for it, I would have been a nervous wreck because I don't know what the play call is going to be. I mean, it could have been a Derrick Henry predictable run up the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, where was the Tannehill keepers, man? Those were so clutch for us. Those always work. Did we even do that once? Did Tannehill keep the ball on one of those?
I think he had one or two, but there was one where he kept it and the Ravens were ready for it. I mean, obviously you put it on tape in that Houston game and the Green Bay game, so you're kind of getting sold out now. But that Tannehill keeper wasn't as efficient. He wasn't really kind of scrambling around making things happen. It was drop back. Here comes the pressure, forced it into a window. Hopefully A.J. Brown can come up with a contested catch. That was the offense. And that, that contributes to my Arthur Smith fart comment. He just farted and left Nashville. And now he's going to go head coach somewhere else and probably have a great offense.
Speaking of which, Arthur Smith, he's leaving on a bad note after such a great season. Did you see the story that night after the loss, he went to Jacksonville to interview for a head coaching position? Like, dude, you either he doesn't give a crap or he's just super tone deaf into how that looks for this fan base. Yeah. I mean, obviously you're kind of in the back of your mind looking ahead. If you have a planned interview scheduled the day after this game, like, dude, that just means that he's just ready to move on and get out of here and continue on with his life. I don't know. After such a poor performance, and then that day, not just go interviewing for a head coaching position, but a divisional rival head coaching position. I mean, that leaves a sour note or a sour taste in your mouth. It does for me. I think it would for any Titans fan or any fan base that sees a successful coach have a terrible game and then go off that same day and interview for a head coaching job for a divisional rival. That just tells me he wasn't 100% locked in. I mean, how can you not take it like that? I don't know. It's a problematic way to end the season, and it just leaves you scratching your head. What happened here?
Yeah, that's I don't know if you want to kind of transition. Not really much of this game. It was a slugfest, and it makes you want to pull your hair out because the Titans win these slugfest games. The Titans. If you told me on Friday that this game would be 20-13, I'd be like, oh, the Titans won, right? Oh no, they only put up the 13. It was a game the Titans were very much should have been in control in. from that 10-0 lead. They should have been able to accelerate and kind of put up more points than they ended up doing. Yeah, it's going to come down to Vrabel and John Robinson this offseason, man, to address what this team needs, because we have that. We've been talking about it, a 2-year window. We just used up one of those windows to, fart out a 20-13 loss at home after a historic offense craps the bed, against a heated rival like Baltimore. It's just really, really sour ending to the season. Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, a defensive coordinator you'd like to see come in. I don't know if you stay in house for an offensive coordinator. Mike Vrabel's going to have to make some serious decisions. Or, if this team slides off, Justin, I'm not saying they're going to. It's kind of a doomsday scenario. But if this team starts sliding next year, doesn't, repeat as division champs, doesn't make the playoffs, is Mike Vrabel on the hot seat? I mean, we had a hot, young team, great roster, great talent surrounding, almost every position group. And, the defense turns to shit, and then your offensive coordinator leaves for a division rival, maybe. And then, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? This offseason is so important. Mike Vrabel's going to have some really, really, really important decisions coming down the pipe, as is John Robinson.
Yeah. It's going to be a very long and frustrating offseason. Like you said, in the end of the season, it just leaves a sour taste in your mouth. One, for the whole Arthur Smith situation and just the futility of his last game, probably as the Titans offensive coordinator, then going off for an interview that same day. Also, Corey Davis has probably played his last game as a Titan. Yeah. I'm sure some team is going to throw a bunch of money at him and sign him away. And in a game where, dude, he disappeared again. I don't know what's going on with him.
Across the board.
It sucks after such an incredible season. And I loved Corey Davis. I loved him when we picked him 5th overall. It took him a few years to get going, but this year we finally saw the Corey Davis we wanted to see when we drafted him. And then it still just kind of came apart at the end for him. And I know it was a very emotional season for him, losing his brother. He had a lot of things going on. So, heart goes out to Corey Davis. He was dealing with a lot of things in his personal life. So perhaps that affected his on-field play. But, it kind of sucks to see him go out on a catchless game in the playoffs. And then Derrick Henry's magnificent, historic 2,000-yard season. I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but, what did he do in the playoffs? He's going to get remembered for putting up a 40-burger, 40-yarder in the playoffs and just kind of getting shut down. And that's what people are going to remember that for. So people are going to remember this season as, division champs, 11-5, best record in years, but one and done in the playoffs. And that's going to be the tagline, I think. So, John Robinson, Mike Vrabel, big offseason task at hand. We got to address this wide receiver depth. We've got to address, obviously, pass rush on defense. I still like the pieces we have with Malcolm Butler, Adoree Jackson. You can't move on or have questions about Kevin Byard after one down season. Yeah. He's still there. I don't know what we're going to do at strong safety with Kenny Vaccaro. I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year.
Amani Hooker, another great player, I thought, stood out in this defense. He really stepped up in big roles all year. Vaccaro was kind of very quietly in and out of this lineup. He was sometimes inactive for some games, and you wouldn't notice because Amani Hooker came in, played very, very solid opposite Kevin Byard. I think that duo, back there is in good shape. I don't know what you do with Kenny Vaccaro. It's going to be an interesting – I know nothing at the current stance about how much money the Titans had to spend this year in the offseason or who even is available to replenish. It's not going to be a ton, Justin. It's going to be something because obviously Clowney isn't coming back. Vic Beasley is off the numbers. And pretty much everybody you brought in. Isaiah Wilson, you probably won't even have to pay your first-round pick from this year come this time next year. So – who knows, this draft class, it's just tough.
The draft class was a disaster, and not all of it was their own fault. You can't blame guys for getting hurt or for getting COVID. Well, it depends on the circumstance, but you can get COVID and not be your fault at all. With Christian Fulton, Darrington Evans, what did Laurel Murchison do for us besides just play a few snaps on defense? I don't know what he did. He must have gotten a handful of tackles, and that's it. John Robinson, with this draft capital, he's going to have to hit home big time in the draft or salary cap. He's going to have to hit big time in the draft coming up. I don't know if we're going to be able to sign any big name free agents we're going to have to think about re-signing some guys like Jonnu Smith, probably
Obviously,
also
Corey Davis.
Jayon Brown. Yeah. I was going to say this too. Speaking of Jayon Brown or that linebacker group, I'm kind of liking David Long, man. He shows up a lot, and it reflects in the stat sheet. He's very active in tackling. He has good range. You know, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I love Jayon Brown, but if we have to move on, I mean, I feel comfortable with having David Long in there as our starter moving forward. Want to see better play out of Rashaan Evans, our other first-round, supposedly stud linebacker from Alabama, who had a really good season. He had a really good 2019, but he dropped off, I thought. Was kind of a flag fest around him. I think he led our team in flags or in penalty flags called against him. So, yeah, a big time offseason to address pieces on this defense. But the offense, besides the receivers, maybe get more offensive line help. We tried that with Isaiah Wilson, but what a disaster that was. We'll have Lewan back. I like Saffold. I think Nate Davis at right guard is a solid piece, and I think he has a bright future still with this team. Ben Jones is getting older, but I think he's still okay. He's still a good center. So, you know, getting Lewan back and maybe addressing the right tackle position again, I think our offensive line should be better, in better shape. So we'll see, man. Yeah, a lot of questions. Obviously, you got to think about coaching, assistant coaches. Surely there's going to be some assistant coaches on the defensive side of the ball that are going to be fired. I don't know, maybe Shane Bowen. I think it came out that he was actually the defensive play caller. So that's not a good look. So we're going to have to get a legitimate defensive coordinator and then obviously an offensive coordinator without Arthur Smith. So, yeah, some big changes coming up in this offseason.
Indeed, man. It's and I know we'll probably talk more off-season kind of as the season wraps up. We find out more things about, you know, Vrabel's coaching search, some of his decisions there. We'll kind of get all into that in probably a separate video. But, yeah, it just really sucks to come away with such a great season. Started 5-0, really kind of responded to challenges throughout the season. Obviously, the defense not nearly where you want it to be, but this team does get the division title, does host a playoff game. And who else but the Baltimore Ravens to come into Nashville and kind of spoil that? And more questions than answers, and that's why it kind of sucks so much to abruptly now, you know, close up shop. Season's over, and to kind of go out like that is really kind of anticlimactic, and it sucks.
Yeah. Then this, if I don't know how much we want to talk about Baltimore because they are our rivals, and we. Oh man, but I mean, props to him, dude. I mean, you got to give them props. And let's just say our offense is as good as it was on Sunday, but it was just their defense has come full circle and is a dominant defense.
I mean, Baltimore has a good defense.
Let's say, do you think that this Baltimore team could make a run and possibly make some upsets? I think they play Buffalo in the divisional round. I think they can beat Buffalo, and then they could play the winner of Chiefs and Browns. Dude, if this Baltimore team wins the Super Bowl, I might gouge my eyes out. I mean, they are a great team. I respect the team and the talent that the Ravens employ. They're a very successful franchise. They've won a heck of a lot more than the Titans the past 20 years. But yeah, I just, you know, I can't help it but root against them with all of the heartbreak that they've caused the Titans. You know, we were starting to get our payback against them. We ended their season last year, won a thriller in November, but then they brought it back around and took it to us. So we were just throwing blows for blows with this franchise, man. And I don't know, it's a bitter, heated rivalry, and I'm feeling it, and it makes me heated, and it makes me upset that they ended our season. But man, they're a good team. They came ready. They outplayed us. They shut us down, man. And I don't want to, you know, be a salty, sore loser about it all. But I can take the L and look ahead to next season and just hope the Ravens lose. That's all.
That's
all
the
that
spirit,
I'm looking
man.
forward to now for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, Justin, I don't know if you have anything else to take us to bar, and I thought you wrapped it up really nicely there. So, you know, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Tell us your thoughts about the game in the comments. You know, do you feel that the AFC South title is less special now? Do you think that, you know, the 2,000-yard season is a little less special now? I don't know if I'd go quite there because Chris Johnson did it on an 8-8 team. So talk about not that special. So definitely the king is still the king. This is still a good football team. Obviously, a lot of questions in the offseason, but as it goes, Titans bounced in the wild card round, so that'll wrap it up for our game recaps on the year. Justin, can't believe
it's over.
we're already in our last game recap of the year. It's over, but look forward to our game picks. Justin was kind enough to let me continue competing against him in the playoff picks. We ended up tied if you watch the weekly pick series. And we have a Titans AFC South hoodie or piece of memorabilia on the line. So
yep, that's right.
He was very nice of me to continue the competition in that way. So thank you all for watching.
Right on.
Great season.
Yep.
Had a blast. And there's always next year, as they say.
There's always next year. Yeah. Just give it time, people, that the pain will go away. Well, I don't know if it does. I still feel the hurt from the other Ravens playoff losses, so don't take that advice. It's going to hurt forever, so just know that. Just know that.
Perfect.
I'm sorry.
Your pain is only forever. All right.
Yeah.
Peace, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Okay. All right. You guys have a good one. Keep your heads up. Yeah, always next season. Tighten up, as always. We always do here. So, yeah, you guys take care.